that person had to put her dog to sleep. And this other woman was very kind to her and was very sweet to her and warm and welcoming and kind, and they hugged. And it was a very beautiful moment. That's what I mean by being kind to others.
Yeah.
And that sense of hope is important, but that's hope without optimism, and Terry Eagleton's phrasing, right? That, dedication to hope that's not blinded by unrealistic optimism, the sort of Stephen Pinker view of the world, or a self-defeating nihilism, the sort of black doomer kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
Because unrealistic optimism is fundamentally conservative. Nihilism is fundamentally conservative, right? Hope is not, I think that hope is fundamentally a progressive force. And ultimately, it's a left-wing force, it's not, and I don't mean that in the sort of vapid notion of like hopey, changey, like Obama kind of shit, which is fine, has its own place, right? But what I mean is a genuine hope. There's this idea of radical hope, which Fromm is of that tradition, but this is, somebody else has written about radical hope in indigenous communities and talking about how indigenous communities maintain their sense of hope in the face of insurmountable odds, whether it's colonial oppression, violence from the state, economic desperation, community breakdown, all of it, right? But there's a book, I think came out like maybe in the 90s or the 2000s. It's called Radical Hope. And it's about how indigenous communities bind together through hope in trying to improve their lives. Because that's my big thing, is that people's lives will only get better if we collectively decide we want to and hope for it. I think part of the one of the limitations of leaving things to states is that, we just say, the state will do that. I don't have to think about it. And I think that's a misguided notion. I think that often leaving things for the state just to do it without having active and democratic participation in the decisions that the state makes or in the decisions that a organized community makes leads to not just the breakdown of the system itself, but also just despotism. And so you have to really recognize that.